There is a fiscal hole in our finances as a nation. You're probably aware of this already. We've been speaking about this for quite some time. If you're new, then you're probably going to learn something new in this video. There is a lot to cover. In true political fashion, they are already signposting what the plan is, and that's what I want to cover in this video. So we're going to be covering quite a lot. Um, and we're going to examine what the suggestions are right now and potentially what this all basically means, because I'm not going to lie, it is going to get a little bit painful. So, look, let's start off with the size of the hole. Apparently, we have a £62 billion fiscal hole. Now, fiscal is I guess, a sexy way of saying a deficit in your budget, right? So let's look at it this way: if you earn 5 grand a month, but you've got 10 grand going out, your fiscal hold is £5,000. This is what we're talking about, but from a governmental point of view. So we've got a massive fiscal hold of £62 billion to basically fill, which is, a nice chunk of this guy's net worth right here. What a beautiful thing would be to be Elon right now, having just bought Tesla. So £62 billion. And looking at the news that came out today, they are signposting. And I'm just going to share with you the article on BBC, really, which is talking about the approach that they're looking to take, essentially. So all eyes are going to be on the budget on the 17th of November. So remember, this should have happened this Monday, but it's now been pushed forward to the 17th of November so they can get into the details of what this is actually going to look like. But the general consensus is that they're going to be taking a 50-50 approach to trying to plug this fiscal hole. So when they say 50-50 approach, what they're looking to do is essentially have a combination of 50% tax rises and 50% cuts to public spending. Now, tax rises hasn't been on the agenda, but I think a lot of people, certain people that I speak to, a lot of people are happy to pay a little bit of extra tax in order to make the country work a little bit better. Where it's really going to hurt is on the spending cuts. Now, back in 2010, under George Osborne, he actually says here, and he gives us a comparison. George Osborne oversaw a period of austerity back in 2010, where they worked based on a broad formula of 80% cuts, 20% tax rises. So them going to a 50-50 split here is kind of them trying to position that they're going to try and be as reasonable as possible. So you've already heard them use words like, we're going to try and do this in the most humane way possible. We are going to be sensitive and caring and aware of those people in society who need our help. So 50% tax rises, 50% cuts in spending, public spending, is kind of that halfway house. What I'm hoping is that when we finally get round to the budget on the 17th, it won't be as bad as this, but they are already forecasting this is going to be, this is the worst case scenario. Fingers crossed. Now, it is worthwhile mentioning, I spoke about the state pension yesterday in yesterday's video. Thank you to everyone who watched that video, by the way. But if you haven't, there is one thing that is really, really important to highlight, because it is something that I mentioned in that video. And if you haven't watched it, I'll put a card right here. Go watch it. This is the bit that I want to highlight. Ministers have not ruled out real term cuts to pensions and benefits by raising them below the rate of inflation, a move that could save billions. Now, the triple lock is essentially a guarantee that those people who are on state pension right now will have their pensions increased by wage growth, by CPI or inflation, which is 10.1%, or 2.5%, whichever is higher. Now, obviously, the higher of those three numbers is 10.1%. What this basically is saying in this little caption here is they're not ruling out that they're not going to increase state pension by 10.1%. And again, if you've watched the video from yesterday, we talked about how the state pension is going to eventually be scrapped because the state pension is funded from the tax take, and it cost the government £111 billion a year. This, for me, is quite concerning. This is going to let down a lot of people who have worked extremely hard to pay their full qualifying years in terms of their national insurance contributions for their state pension, only to have the government potentially not increase and not hold true to the promise of the triple lock. This is a really, really big moment. I hope, I hope that this isn't something that they carry through with, but it is a big, big thing if they do. Um, the other thing that I think is worthwhile just bearing in mind is windfall taxes. Liz Truss kind of ruled out windfall taxes on some of the big oil producers because she felt that it would be unfair on them and it would deter foreign investment into the country. And one of the things that we do need at the moment is we need foreign investment into the country to kickstart growth. Now, as it turns out today, and I just have to share this with you because it will absolutely make your jaw drop. But the likes of BP today have announced bumper profits, £7.1 billion this quarter. This quarter, £7.1 billion. That equates to around about, what is it? 8.2 billion dollars. This is up from $3.3 billion this time last year. So oil producers are making a shed ton of money right now as a result of and it says it here in the Sky article, boosted by high prices resulting from the impact of Russia's war in Ukraine. And windfall taxes have been taken off the table by Liz Truss. I actually think that there'll be a U-turn on this because Shell and BP have basically said that they are open for and they're preparing for the possibility of them having to pay additional taxes, and they've been working with the Treasury um, to make that essentially happen. It says it here in this paragraph right here. This is Shell that they're talking about. The company posted its latest numbers just days after the UK listed rival Shell, which declared the company was ready to face higher taxes on its earnings and had been working constructively with the UK Treasury on the issue. So I think we will see windfall taxes come in, which I think will be 100% welcome. I'd love to know down below whether you think windfall taxes need to come in literally right now, because it is going to have a massive impact in trying to help us fill that £62 billion fiscal hole that we actually have. What else is there? The other thing that I think might happen that we'll see change, maybe not on the 17th, would be national insurance contributions. If you remember, one of the things that stayed from the mini budget was the reduction, well, the proposed increase to the national insurance contribution rate didn't carry through. I think that will come back. That is rumored to be worth £13 billion. So if you think about they're doing a 50-50, so maybe they're looking at 32, 31 million roughly in spending cuts, 31 million by taxes. Well, this is going to account for 13 billion. So they're a third of the way there. So I think that will happen at some point. It might happen as soon as the 17th. Other things to just bear in mind. Look, all eyes are going to be on the 17th for the details. They are signposting this now, which is the telling thing. It is going to be painful. I hope it's not going to be as bad as I've already said, but all eyes on the 17th right now. The Bank of England actually meet tomorrow on Thursday. Will they increase rates? I've said previously that I don't think they would, because I think that Andrew Bailey would probably want to maybe hold off a little bit. But I was speaking to Alan Johnson, who's an ex-Labour MP, um, on Pack Lunch today, well, yesterday, as you see this, and he thinks that actually the Bank of England will actually move on rates because there seems to be this little, I guess, you haven't done this by the government, and they're pointing fingers at each other. And I think Andrew Bailey, according to him, doesn't want to feel as though or doesn't want to be seen as though he's not doing enough. So he thinks that there will be a rate move on Thursday, tomorrow. What do you think? I think whatever happens, even if there is a rate rise, and I think if there is probably 0.75, maybe 1%, I'll be surprised if they keep it at 0.5% because of stuff that he's previously said. And I've again mentioned and talked about that in a video. I will put a card to that here as well. I think we'll see a rate increase if he does, but probably about 0.75. For mortgages, I think that will already be priced in, so I don't think that will have a material impact in the mortgage rates at this juncture. I could be wrong, but anyway, that's a little bit of an update for you there. What do you think? Do you think windfall taxes need to come in? I mean, I don't know what that is going to be in terms of a number, plug in the goal, but national insurance contribution is going to be 13 billion. I would imagine that the windfall tax on Shell and BP will probably bring in a few million as well. But who knows? What do you think they need to do? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Are you worried? How are you feeling about this? Because spending cuts at the moment is not a good look. We've had a lot of spending cuts, and the fear is that if they cut any more, where's it going to be cut from? It's worrying times right now, but let me know what you think in the comments. Cheers, guys.